Okay, this is going to be a quick and dirty demo review of a game between Babitz and Spighty. From Babitz's point of view, he sent me this. I've had one watch through, it's quite a close game, but I do have some feedback to give already. So we're just going to talk about the start here. This is always a good spawn to choose an ASDF for obvious reasons. You've got the shock right here. I think this is the closest spawn to the shock, so you 100% get it, because sometimes you can choose this upper spawn or one of these ones, but this one will always beat the opponent to the shock. What happens here is an interesting start, so I'll just let it play out. Okay, so the first blood it's pretty standard. If we skip back to that, so when you spawn here, Spighty spawned here, and you heard him, which is good. You heard him take flak. I'm not sure why he chose to move up. Maybe he thought you would go up for the vials. But this is always a really bad move to push up here into this. I mean, you can see the combo radius here. It pretty much zones this entire stairway up. So you kill him here, which is standard. And then what happens is he gets the respawn frag with the enforcer. So you come in here at 83 health. And then you hit the jump pad, which gives him a couple of free hits onto you. And then what happens is you go back to the jump pad, and that's just going to make you a huge target. What you really need to do there. So you see him spawn, right? Just have to figure this out. So you hear him, you hear him spawn. So you're already going up the jump pad when you hear him spawn, and he hits you twice, and there's not really anything you can do about that. But once you're here, you're at 39 health, so you're 2 shots away from dying. Your instinct should be to go this way, right? Get away from the hit scan. Waste as much time as possible, because then even if he kills you, if it takes him 10 seconds to kill you or something, which is very possible if you're hiding out here. If it takes him 10 seconds to kill you, then you can set up for one of these 2 armors really quickly. So just some small habit mistakes. Going back to the jump pad was a bad move, and that actually enables him to tie the game up. And I think he gets the next frag as well, if I remember correctly. So yeah, so this is a terrible spawn. And he hits the headshot. But, I mean, it might seem like there wasn't much you could do here, but this grenade launcher is outrageously powerful. So, when you're going back there, you can afford to poke your head out once or twice to fire some grenades, because they do 90 damage or something outrageous, especially the secondary fire. But instead you didn't fire at all, which was a mistake. And now he's going to take this armor, surely. Okay, I mean that worked out for you, but judging by the fact that he just headshot you, I think this was a bad move. So, I mean, taking the shock is fine, but then fighting it like this, you're almost asking to get a headshot. And the armor's yours. Okay, so belt is spawning in 9 seconds, right? You waste a disproportionate amount of time trying to get this health. But then he runs away, essentially giving you the belt, so you know he's really low. Somehow he ends up on 5 health. I don't know how that happened. So he's at 51 here. Oh, he rockets himself. Okay. Yeah, I wondered what happened there. So it looks like he's shot himself on the wall. But you know he's low, because he's running away from you. Obviously you don't know he's this low. You didn't expect him to rocket himself, which is fair enough. But like, you could just breathe on him and he'd die. Okay, let's just talk about these last 30 seconds. So, if we take his POV, he's on 5 health, right? And he should have 100, but because of that mistake he only has 5. And he gets this 100, and that's fair enough. But what you should have been doing is, so the reason he's got that 100, he's now at 150, is because he took the 50 back here. After rocketing himself, that was a mistake. But so he was able to get this 50 unchallenged, right? Because you were taking the belt. And then he gets the 100 unchallenged because you were also taking the belt. But the reason he was able to do that was because when the belt was about to spawn, you were over here and you had a lot of health. What I would have done is stuck around here. That way you deny this 50. You're going for the belt. He might get this 100 armor, maybe not. But because you were, because you wasted time over here, he was able to just loop around the whole map and scoop up all the items. And if he hadn't rocketed himself, he'd be 100, 150 in just a few seconds. Okay. Yeah, so this is another time wasting bit. So just to add on, he was to that like loop around the map that he was doing. He had so much time because you were wasting time before the belt and then afterwards. Like you didn't need to loop around there. You should have beeline for the 100. You should know when it's spawning because you got it last time. But still, he's so low. Okay, that was pretty much a perfect situation for you, and it was played perfectly. So you got so much health. You're at the top, which is the strongest position on this map by far. You hear him. Nice prediction combo. And moving into the flag. That's exactly what you have to do. Okay, so now you've heard him above you. And so when I watched this game through the first time, what I noticed is that you were almost avoiding the top, or avoiding the top when there was any chance that he would be up there, which I suppose works sometimes. If your opponent's got really good hit scan, then sometimes it's not even worth trying to push the top. But I think in this game you would have benefited by going for the top. So your ideal situation now is to start trying to push up to the top here. Unfortunately, that combo masked the sound of the jump pad, so you don't know where he is, but you just hear him take sniper, so you should have a pretty good idea of where he is. So I just want to see what health he has before then. So you didn't need... So you only get 43 armor out of this. There's this sort of split second of indecision once the game catches up, and you see here when you're deciding whether you're not going to take this jump pad. And I think maybe it would have been better to just go up the jump pad. You know you have more stack than him, you have better weapons than him. If you go up the jump pad, you maybe get a frag. If not, worst case scenario, you back up onto the 100 armor, and it's actually worth 100 armor, not 43, because you won't be hitting max stack. So maybe be a little bit more aggressive in that situation. Unfortunately, you eat a rocket to the face here, which there's not much you can do about that. But still, you know, you massively outstack him. I'm just going to follow Spighty over the last minute or so. Well, it was allowed. So he's lower than you quite considerably until he gets those health packs on this 50, and you do get the belt, which is good. But you see, he sees this opportunity and he goes straight up to the top. And now he's in a better position than you because he's got the high ground and some good weapons. And all this time you spent fighting in this area, jumping down, getting the belt. I would have just gone straight up, taken the jump pad, taken the top. That way you continue to push him, into the recesses of the map and gain a bit more control. But what happens is he takes this high ground pretty much for free. There was a prediction combo over here, but you can't cover the whole of this sniper platform with one combo. So he can, unless you're going to take the jump pad and try and contest, he gets this top area for free. So it's a good play by him, but avoidable if you just make the decision to take the belt, go up to the top as soon as possible. I'm actually going to take this back just a little bit. Okay, if we watch this from Spighty's point of view, you see what he does really well here. So he's got the top ground. This is where we started, and he knows where you are. He's got those vials. He's got the 50. He's pretty stacked, but he can also afford to back away. Right? He's got a load of map and a load of items to back onto if he wants to. So he can just go aggressive. So he takes a massive hit, thanks to the flag, and gets knocked down. What he probably would have wanted to do is back up here, go to the top area, but instead he gets knocked down, which is good for you. It's an opportunity to do some damage. But what you should do here is go where he was going to go to the link gun, take the top area, but he backs off, goes straight up the jump pad, because he sees you jump down, and he can go for the 100 armor. Finish you off with a link. What you should have done, like I said, instead of jumping down here to try and chase, just take the high ground. You should know the 100's about to spawn. That way, even if he does take this jump pad, you're still contesting the 100 armor. And that's good for you, because you've just done so much damage with the flak, right? But instead, he gets his 100 armor almost uncontested. You can't really harm in the air. Especially when he has rockets, he can just bomb down on you when you're standing in this area. He jumps for the 100, finishes you off with a link because your stack isn't that high, and then he's in a good situation. Okay, so you get a terrible spawn actually. I think he types, or it might be later. So that grenade play is what you should have done when you got that spawn earlier in the game, just as you got headshot. I mean, it's pretty bullshit, but hey, that's how you win, I guess. Yeah, that was really obvious, actually. So, I mean, just as a general rule of thumb, never make any noise or stand around in this area. I mean, I know you like to do it with flak, but it's just a terrible place to stand for that exact reason. I just want to see where he was before that happened. So this is the grenade fight. He goes up, so you know he is here. Yeah. So because the footsteps are so loud, you would have heard him definitely if he was up here, so you should know he's dropped, or at least jumped for the 100. Therefore this room is not safe. Best case scenario, you come down here quickly. He'll still be at the top. You can possibly do some poke damage as he goes for this 50, which has been up for some time, I think. And if not, then you can back off this direction. This is not a good path to choose. Okay. Show the number. Okay, there we go. So armor's just spawned. You took the belt as well, which is interesting. I just want to see after that spawn again. So you get Link, go for the 50, that's good. The vials are up the top as well if you want them, but... Alright, that little attack was destined to fail. So obviously from this situation he's got the high ground. Best option is to take this jump pad up. You know the 100's up, right? Take the jump pad, get the high ground. Deny him this 100, see if you can do damage to him taking it. The worst option is just a beeline for this jump pad. You end up eating a rocket, but you know, could have been worse if he had flak or if he comboed that, because he can just see you walking straight towards the jump pad. He's going to hurt you if you do that. I think it might have been an accident actually. Yeah, you roll into it, which could have been an accident. This is very typed. Okay, so that was good. As a response to this little engagement. So you fail jumped this, which is kind of funny, but it didn't end up mattering. You come up here, he chooses to go low, and your immediate response is to go up, which is good. So this is coming up soon. You now have position on this. You'll hear him take this lift if he goes for it. Otherwise he'll be poking down here, in which case you can, you know, come to the top area, push him even more. He's probably going to back up onto the 50, but you still have the positional advantage. You've got this top area, so this was a good little good response. That fight was terrible, but no one did any damage, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, let's move on. Okay, so he's going. Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't hear him there. Okay, that was actually quite a good little engagement for you. So the past 30 seconds to a minute have been quite good. So he chooses to go this way, which is weird. The 50 was up. He could have taken it. Maybe he didn't realise it was up. And then, did you take the jump pad? I think you might have done. Yeah, you took the jump pad, but you were on the armour. And then your timing on the belt is better than his, so you get there slightly earlier. There was a jump down into tri-rockets, which could have been catastrophic, but ended up being alright. Just trying to... I'll go back to that drum. So I think, yeah, you jump from here, right? I mean, there's something to be said about not jumping into tri-rockets, but I feel like, for the most part, that was a... I mean, he charged them as he jumped, right? So there wasn't much of an opportunity to take it slow and realise what he was doing. But yeah, you get the frag with a shock in a minute. Go for these healths. It's quite an obvious move on his part. And you see the spawn. Okay, that frag was by all rights yours, but if we just focus on what you... I mean, he made a nice little play here where he doubled back and went underneath, but the main reason you didn't get that frag was just your link aim was shit. But the response to loop back around here while he was going to the low ground, that was the right thing to do. You know he's going for flak. You want these healths because you know he wants these healths. So denying that's good. Hopefully push him back into this corner. If you don't get the frag, I mean, the way you play this map when you're in control is if you don't get the frags, you want to keep looping back through this top area, force your opponent back to the minigun area. Sometimes the armor area if it's not up. So you're doing that right. You're zigzagging across the top. In this situation, you've got the high ground, and you're stealing these healths away from him. Right, so the mistake here was dropping. The prediction rocket onto this little ledge here was actually really nice on his part, while you're trying to get the vials. But what happens here is you come up and then you drop, and you should have just waited for a second and looked for him before you jumped, because he ends up flacking you. As we'll see in a second. So yeah, you hear him down there, or you should hear him down there, and then you just jump, which is stupid, to be honest. Lucky that flak ball didn't kill you, actually. Really nice shot there, but still, he gets the belt. So a little bit messy. You could have ended up winning the belt there. You had time when you were standing here. If you're gonna just jump, at least jump to this part, right? And then this is an even more commanding position for the belt, because you've got 3 sort of areas of attack. You can jump off the front or down the middle or down the back. Because you know, if that flak had hit you harder, you could realistically have died. You're not very stacked. If he hits a headshot or something nice, then you're toast. Okay, that was good. That was the best that situation could have ended up, actually. See, that's unlucky. That's just unlucky that he out-aimed you there, really. So once again, you're just sort of, and I appreciate it, you don't have many weapons, right? But you're making a lot of noise and you're running back and forth through this corridor. So he's bound to know exactly where you are. And the jumping up here was, I mean, trying to take the top is obviously a good move, but jumping into him without really looking is not the greatest idea. Luckily for you, he fell down after he shot you, so now you've got the high ground. And I think armor's up, yeah. So you've got position in the armor. But just that brute force approach, probably not the best idea. Oh, nice shot. I mean, this should be your kill. I think, yeah, he steals the belt. So perhaps a little too focused on the kill there. So that's 2 belts you perhaps could have gotten, but the fights around them were a little bit messy. This was good as well, just looping around, grabbing the health, going straight to the top. You know the 100's going to spawn, you can try and force him down. He's got no weapons, so he has to jump down for the rocket if he wants to contest this. So that was a good little move. mistake here was dropping, honestly. You just came too close to this edge and dropped off. Ate a rocket and he killed you. If you hadn't dropped off, you could have backed off in any manner of these corridors, right? But instead, he's able to finish you off. Wow, the demo tools are... There you go. Oh. Yeah, that rocket was nice by him. He's going to know you're at these health, so be careful. Yeah? So you're actually quite lucky he didn't push him with sniper there, because he very easily could have killed you. Although the link play was nice, just pushing him back. Now he's so low that you can afford to take this 100 armor when it spawns.
3 minutes remain.
Belt soon, so... Yep, good timing. And that was also good, just taking the belt after you get shot by the sniper means you get as much out of that as possible. But really, yeah, this is what you should be doing. Taking the top, being aggressive, you know how low he is. Okay, so all three of those shots were really easy for him. So you've got the one, so you jump down to chase here, which is fine. And then he hits the first shot here, or it might be the second shot. Or he hits a shot here, when you're coming around this corner, which is really easy to hit. And then hits another one over here when you're taking the 50, which is another easy shot. So you're giving him these, you're chasing in these wide arcs, right? And you're making yourself easy to hit. If you wanted to chase, perhaps the best option would be to try and cut him off here. So if he runs this direction, just hold this position, rather than chasing around here, because that gives him an opportunity to run this way, which is what he does. And he shoots you again. If he tries to run that way when you're here, you just jump down onto the lift, and then you can chase up. Provided he doesn't have any splash weapons, or if he runs down then you can chase him again. So maybe just hold the position a bit. Right, I'm just going to watch that again because I wasn't paying attention. So you take these 25s. Yeah, so really that was good play by him, but if we watch it from his perspective, you'll get an idea of what you should be doing in this situation. So he knows you're lone here. He knows the hundreds are coming up. He isn't that stacked, right? But he's got a massive advantage in terms of his position. So he doesn't necessarily want to take a straight up fight with you, because he could realistically lose if you hit a couple of nice shots. So he holds you in this corridor, goes for the combo, it doesn't matter, but then he acknowledges that you're going too far out of line of sight for him to chase. If he chose to chase, he would have come up here and tried to shoot you, but then you're almost taking a straight up fight here, right? You've got shock, you can take a hit scan battle, and he doesn't want to do that because his stack isn't that great, so he smartly just jumps back onto the armor and goes for the shock. But this gives you an opportunity to take the top, which I assume is what you do. Yeah. So it was well played by him to get the stack advantage, but it does give you an opportunity to take the top, which you capitalise on. I'm taking the top earns you the 50, which is alright. Belt's up soon. Unfortunately, your weapon arsenal is looking a bit slim, so you're probably not in the best shape to contest for the belt. So, I mean, I can't remember what happens here, but what I would probably do is, well, if I wasn't thinking beyond just diving straight on the belt, I'd be holding this position, letting him go for the belt. He's high stacked, right? So the belt's only going to give him 13 armor. If he's smart, he'll come this way and try and do some damage, and then he'll go for the belt. But your best case scenario is to try and do a bit of damage as he takes it. So hold this position, hope he jumps for it, come around this corner, take some shots, see what happens. Well, let's see what actually happens. Okay, so he does the smart thing and he just comes straight around this corner into you. He knows your weapon arsenal's poor, he knows that your stack is low. You actually do a little bit more link damage than you can hope to expect there, because he misses about 6 primaries in a row, but he does get the kill, so not much you can do there. If he'd chosen to jump down, then best case scenario is not to contest, swing around, do some poke damage, but he kind of had you in a corner there. Whoops. So it's 7-7 now. Lucky spawn in the shock. Alright, it should be obvious what you did wrong there. Beeline for the shock. He can see you through the window. He can hear the shock. He's got sniper. He hits a shot, and now you're on the back foot. There's only a couple minutes left, so you don't want to be bleeding frags here. And you're going to be forced to go for these healths, right? That gives him time to get to the top, which gives him the opportunity to take this next 100 or the next 50. So, and that's all because, you know, you took the shot here, which made you vulnerable. Means you have to go for these healths and wastes time. It gives him options. What you should have just done, taken shock this way. Don't push the belt. You should know 100 armor's coming up soon. Grab 100. It's quite defensible. You've got shock though, so that makes it easier for you. And then you can afford to start working on taking the top position again. Yeah, so good timing by him. He knows the 100's up. You actually did have an opportunity to steal it there, but I don't think you had the exact time. Okay, this just makes no sense. You should know exactly what was wrong with that. Watch it back. You've got a good position here. Your health stack's good, so you don't need to jump down for health. But for whatever reason, you dive down, and then you push, and just die. He surely heard that spawn, so he's going to know where you are. Yeah. It's hard to say what you could have done better in that situation. Actually, I think I liked the decision to stay with the minigun. I mean, if you'd done 3 or 4 more ticks of damage, which is quite a realistic scenario, then you could have really hurt him. It doesn't pan out too great for you, and you get the shitty spawn here, but the 100 is up, so that's good, I guess. But the problem with that is taking the minigun fight. You're bound to die. I mean, it's a suicide act, right? You want to try and do as much damage as possible. But there's 1 minute left, and that puts you another frag in the deficit. So, I mean, it depends, really. It depends how confident you feel you can do that minigun damage. I think it went not as badly as it could have gone, so I'm sort of indifferent to it, but the smarter option in terms of self-preservation is to just run. You had a bit of time to run, see if you can take the top area, see if you can get the next 100 and then make your push, and then you're only 1 frag behind, but hey. So that shot could have been avoided, I think. just by spamming the grenades a bit. This corner seems to be what I'm doing a couple of times in the game, where you choose not to use the grenade. I mean, it is a bullshit weapon, and I can understand why you don't want to use it, but it's quite useful. If you just spam, I mean, he just killed you here, right? You should know exactly where he is. You spam a secondary grenade, make a huge explosion here, then you take the armor. Or even just use the impact hammer and shield yourself. That sniper shot should just be easy to avoid. I just want to see something quickly. Yeah, these healths are up, so you could... I mean, when you take the flak and the did you take this 25? I can't remember. Let's have a look again. Let's go all the way back. Listen to that horrendous noise, thank you. Okay, so die with the mini, spawn here. Okay, so it was the vials. So, what I would do here is just go for the health first, right? Which you choose not to do, which is strange. Go for the flak instead. I appreciate you don't have much time left. Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll just let the rest of this game pan out, because it's quite entertaining. The last bit of feedback, I think, on that was go for the health. The jump here was good. It's kind of an all or nothing. You didn't have many options. You really do have to go for it. If you'd gone up to the jump pad and run away, you would have been screwed. But luckily you actually get a shred. I think overall, learning to deal with being stuck in here is a good plan. Abusing the grenades a bit always helps. Being a bit more decisive to take the top throughout the whole game would have been helpful. Trying to push your opponent, I mean, the zigzagging through the top was good at times, but other times you were zigzagging through this area, which is suicide because you can hear it, you can see it from just about anywhere. So maybe be a bit more comfortable playing around the corners of the map, trying to get to the top, push your way up instead of using the jump pad here. But we'll watch the rest of the game because it's quite funny.
Seconds left. Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so that's the end of the game. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it's helpful, Babitz. I also hope it's helpful for any other players. It was a well-played game, as I know it. It's one of the closer ones that you two play, but hey, hopefully you can work on those points.